she hit the chat, tell all your girls. I'm scared to ask if we the last time. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are drafting a basic bodice block without darts. So let's get started. I'm going to draw a straight line on the top of my pattern paper, which will serve as my starting line. I'll go ahead and label it as starting line. This is where I'll take all my vertical measurements from. So on the starting line, I'll go in from the edge there by 3 inches and I'll come down by 3 inches. This will create my back neckline. Mind you, we are drafting both the back and the front pattern on the same paper. So from the top there, when I'm done drafting the back neckline, I'll join them like so, and then I'll come down by 1.5 inches for my front neckline. You can join them with your French curve, but I don't have a French curve, so I'm doing it by freehand. Now from the edge of the necklines there, I'll mark my shoulder measurement divided by 2, which for me is 7, so I'll mark it there like so. And then I'll come down by 1 inch to create my shoulder slant, because mind you, our shoulders are not straight, they're kind of slanted. Next, I'll mark the vertical distance from my shoulder to my bust point, which for me is 10 inches. So I'll mark that across the paper and then join them to form a straight line, which I'll label as my bust line. Let me turn the paper so that it's in short. Next, we're going to mark the vertical distance from our shoulder to our waist, which for me again, that's 15. So I'll mark that across like so, and then I'll join it to get my waist line. Next, I'm going to mark the full length of the top. For me, I want it to be 23 inches. So I'll mark that also on the paper and then I'll join it to create my full length. I'm sorry my hair is in the way here. I didn't realize until I was done recording. Next, we are going to create our armhole. So come back up here. We're going to mark our bust measurement divided by 6 plus 1.5 inches. For me, that's 7.5. So I'll draw that as a straight line and I'll label it as my chest line. Now I'll draw a line from the edge of the shoulder slant to meet the chest line like so. So I'll go ahead and find the midpoint of that line by dividing it into 2, like so. And then I'll mark the midpoint on the line. From that midpoint there, I'll come in by ½ an inch. Now on my chest line, I'll mark my bust measurement divided by 4, which for me is 9. So I'll mark it there. And I'll go ahead and mark that on my bust line as well. Now I'll come and join the tip of the shoulder slants to that ½ inch mark we made there, and then all the way to the chest line mark like so to create our armhole. Now on my waistline, I'll mark a quarter of my waist measurement. So my waist is 28, quarter of that is 7. On my full length line, I'll mark a quarter of my hip measurement. My hip is 40, quarter of that is 10. So after that, I'll just go ahead and join those marks. So I'm just going to label the front neckline and the back neckline so that I can tell when I'm cutting it. And guys, this is basically it. So we're just going to go ahead and cut it out. So you can either go ahead and add allowance all around before you cut, or you can cut it on the line and then add your allowance when you're cutting on fabric. Either way works. And remember, you can create lots of patterns from a basic bodice block. This is like the foundation of a bodice. So if you get this down, you can draft patterns for any other bodice. So I'm going to label here on fold so that I know to cut it with the fabric on fold for that side. Anyway, that's all for today's video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye, y'all.